And welcome to Chartwise Women. This is Ellen McGonagle here with Erin Swenlin each and every Thursday afternoon, where we share our wealth of wisdom with you. Lots of exciting dynamics taking place beneath the surface of the markets, while the broader markets appear, and they certainly are, flat this week. But we have some exciting undercurrents taking place, and we're going to talk all about that. How are you, Erin? How's it
Uh,
going?
I'm doing quite well, thank you. My brother is in town, so it's been
Mm.
very nice visiting with him, and we went and celebrated my mom's 80th birthday.
Oh, wow. Mm. Congratulations to her.
Yes,
That's
to
wonderful.
her.
And I'll bet you went out because I actually went to a restaurant this week, and I have to say it was ever so much fun. It was partially outdoors, but people are starting to mingle, and it's fun.
Oh, absolutely. No,
Yeah.
we actually didn't go out,
Hmm.
but we had lots of family over,
Oh,
and
good, good.
we cooked her favorite dinner, and it worked out well. But yeah, John and I have been sneaking out to restaurants here and there the last couple of weeks. We're really enjoying that.
Yeah. Well, when we're both vaccinated, and as long as you have precautions, we were in kind of a bubble in our, they had plexiglass, everybody had their own little bubble, so worked
Oh,
out well.
wow.
Yeah, lovely. But yeah, let's get started today, and talked about undercurrents taking place, and it's going to be all about big movers. And by that, I mean stocks that are just having these explosive moves, whether they're gapping up or just trending up. There are definite themes taking place among these stocks that are bigger movers, and we are pointing them out because precedence says that a lot of these big movers, it's just the beginning. And we're going to share with you how we determine that there's more upside, or whether you should play the pullback in these big movers, and so forth. So let's get started. As usual, we do like to share our wisdom of the week, and mine is up there at the top. It's the fact that strong earnings will push stocks much higher than the broader markets, and all of that is based on a methodology that I am immersed in after 15 years with William O'Neill and Company, where he studied the markets going back over 100 years. And those earnings are, in fact, the number one driver of your big winning stocks.
Excellent. And one of the things that my wisdom of the week is that you can always find those pockets of strength in the market, even if the market isn't going your way, if it's consolidating, whatever is going on, or when you're in a nice bull market move or rally. Again, you can still find those really not just a pocket of strength, but those outperformers. And that's really what we want to find, is it not?
Yes, of course. That is always our goal. And even if you only have one or two in your portfolio or over a year's span, that I had one stock I sold it recently. It was up 420%. And it really helped buffer against those stocks that I may have stayed in too long.
There you go.
Yeah. So very good. Let's go ahead from here. And I did want to share with you as far as where we are in the broader markets. Many of you, I'm sure, are aware that we are in the throes of earnings season, where corporations are coming out with their first quarter results. And so far, we are seeing what is being termed explosive year-over-year growth. And it's the numbers that are coming out are the highest since we came out of the 0809 recession. It's the highest since the third quarter 2010. And then Wall Street overall is anticipating this earnings explosion to remain throughout 2021. And on average, companies are reporting about 24% above estimates, and the 5-year average is 7%. So we are 3 times ahead with that average as far as companies coming in ahead with their earnings reports. And as we move forward, we'll share with you the significance of where we are currently as far as earnings and what's anticipated going forward. So, um, from here, what I was going to do is go ahead and talk about some of those stocks.
Before I get exactly into that, I think it's important we know where the broader markets stand as far as,
Very
what
good.
we're seeing. That's one of the methodologies we use at Decision Point. We look at the market, the broad market in general, and that can give you kind of a feeler on your odds for success. And so right now, obviously, we're having this lovely breakout on all of these strong earnings. We were starting to consolidate. We could be looking at a bull flag here. I'm not so certain about that yet because I do have some underlying indicators that are not as good as I would like to see them. One of the things we talked about, Mary Ellen, before the show is the VIX. I
Mhm.
invert mine. So when you get those higher readings, you'll end up with a puncture on these Bollinger Bands. When you get a puncture of that lower Bollinger Band on my inverted scale, that typically leads to an upside move or a thrust. So
On the
we'll be watching.
VIX, is that right? Upside move on the VIX, not the markets.
Exactly.
All right, not what we wanna see, so
No, but
interesting.
at the same time, when you get that stretch of, bearishness from, people are a little bit more nervous about the market. Honestly, those are the times where you can often get into a really nice reversal move because everybody's gotten so bearish. And
Mhm.
that's typically
Yeah.
with sentiment, you're going to see that flip. But one of the last ones I just really wanted to show before I pass it to you, get into some of these stocks and uncovering them is just to look at it. Here's something about underlying indicators. And I'm going to move you down to this section. I'm not going to talk about my Swenlin trading oscillators, although they're excellent. But the percent of stocks above their 20-day EMA, my concern is that's going down. We only have about 3/4 of the S&P 500 with their price above that 20-day moving average. And then the other problem I'm seeing under the surface is that we only have, at least as of last night, 43% of the S&P 500 with rising momentum. So this number right here is going to give you a little bit more of a pulse on, well, the odds of your success. So it's very important to find those strong movers, especially when you're looking at less than half of the S&P with rising momentum. There's still those 43% out there. And so that's what we want to try and find.
Very good. Okay, yeah, and I actually kinda like that the momentum is not super high right now. It's giving us more room, if you will, for upside. So,
Exactly.
yeah, so I'm gonna just take a moment here, and then we'll get into how you can screen. I'm just gonna share with you some of these names that are and have been up, and really it's to give you that confidence that even though a stock has gapped up significantly in price, oftentimes there's much more upside ahead. So we're looking at UPS. The company did come out with earnings earlier this week. And upon the release of that earnings, the stock did trade up as much as 13% on the day. We can see it kind of faded into the close, but we're up significantly since then, almost up 3% today. So this is not uncommon. When these stocks gap up out of bases, in this case, out of a flat 2-week base on super heavy volume, that's going to be your signal that the stock is in an explosive phase. Oftentimes, it will lead to further upside. And then you can just go back historically. You want to see, is the company capable of that kind of upside movement after earnings? Let's go ahead and take a look at another example so we can share with you what we are on the prowl for with these big movers. This is Equifax, EFX, and the stock in this case gapped up 16% at one point. Again, it did fizzle that into the close. That's not uncommon, but as long as you remain above this, you don't close the gap. Oftentimes, there's much more upside ahead. This is in this case, the stock did break out of a nice 4-month base. Take a look, big volume here. And for this company, they did report record revenues and management guided higher going forward. So you can see it's going up a bit. It may mark time, but maybe looks poised for further upside. And then one last name that we can take a look at as far as precedence here is Discover Financial, DFS. The company came out with their earnings back in here, and as often will happen, Wall Street then will embrace and begin to upgrade the stock because of their strong quarterly results. In this case, Bank of America did upgrade the stock. It gapped up out of this base. Take a look at the volume characteristics, and we can see it has gone up 10% above that gap up in price with further upside still ahead. So we wanted to start the show there, give you an idea of when these stocks do have these explosive moves subsequent to earnings, many times there is further upside ahead.
Absolutely. Our friend Tom Bowley, that's one of his things, right?
Mhm.
Is getting his high earnings or strong earnings chart list. So he always scans on that group because
Mhm.
in his mind, and as you're saying,
Well,
typically when
it's
you
yeah,
report strong earnings, you get follow on.
it's very integral to my work as well, with my MEM Edge report, and we have lots of stocks that are popping like popcorn here.
Yes.
So, okay, we are going to go ahead and share with you the best ways to uncover these outperformers. And then from there, I'm going to share with you some stocks that have had these explosive moves and are going to onward and upwards. Aaron, I think you were going to share maybe a screen or how to go ahead
Yes.
and
Okay.
uncover. And
Well,
then,
I'm always the scan person.
mhm.
So I thought I did run a scan. I'm going to look at that, but I wanted to show folks that maybe who aren't as advanced in using a scan, just one of the easy ways you can get to quite a few. So I'm on the member page for stockcharts.com, and you can see under member tools, if you keep going down here, you will see reports and more. And they have predefined scans, so you don't actually have to come up with your own. They're already built in, if you will. And so you can use all of these various different ways to find what you want. Gaps up, though, you're probably going to find some of those big earnings winners right now. Typically, we'll see what's in here. But at this point, there are certain areas of the market that are certainly showing some really good health right now. But this is one way that you can find and go in and get an idea of what kind of big market movers there are if they're making those big
And
gap ups.
I know I like to sort it by market cap, or certainly other ways if you are maybe volume, so that you can get in front of some of these more liquid, bigger names. And
Yes.
oftentimes you will see themes begin to emerge if you're running
Look at
these
that one right there.
scans. Ah, I think we might have to look at that one
We'll
later.
probably get that one in a little bit.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, home construction, we were talking about that being a
Right.
really hot area.
Mhm.
And as you can see, here's one that is just totally popping right now.
They
Century.
reported record first quarter earnings today.
There you go.
Yes, this is a $2 billion home builder. Yeah.
Absolutely. So
Mhm.
that's one of the ways you can uncover some of those big movers. I have my own scans, and I did run one. It kind of screens out some of those cats and dogs, if you will, that you'll get on some of those predefined scans. But just looking for a theme, you can see energy, oil and gas, exploration and production. But this one's also an area, and Mary Ellen, a lot of these banks
Mhm.
have reported earnings, and probably that is why they
I
came up
I
on my scan.
recognize a couple of them. Yes, they are on my MEM Edge report list. I see 3 of them up there, and they're having, terrific weeks. Yeah.
Yep, this one, I gave this one out to my folks last night. So yeah, we're seeing
They
some
gotta be
great
loving
moves
you.
here. Oh, it's always nice when I pop one out there like
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
wish
hope
it could be
everybody
every
got to
time,
their
but we know how that works.
right, right. Fantastic. Okay, so I think from here, Aaron, we were going to share ways that you can use your charts to plan your move. You've seen this stock; it's popped on earnings or other news, and how to handle it, so to speak. So, Aaron, I think you were going to maybe talk about uh, how to tell if it's poised to trade higher. And then from there, we're
Sure.
going to talk about other ways to use your charts to
Yes,
buy,
absolutely.
yeah, on the
All
pullback.
right. So I'm looking, I want to find one of the ones that I've done somewhat recently here. Um, these are just all of the various picks I've done over over the years here, actually over the past few months right now. Um, Gold miners was one that I was paying attention to, but you can see how
Oh,
sometimes
let's see your chart.
oh, you
Let-
can't see anything anyway. Well, that's just as well because that's not a great chart. Okay, so here's some of what I do. Let me get to where you can see my screen. So once you kind of go into those scans and figure out which ones you like. So if we go in here and let's say we liked, well, for example, the one that I just gave yesterday, since I did talk about that, I have one marked up so that you can see what I look for and how I really track where I'm expecting it to go. So in this case, I'm going to make this really big for people so they can see. There we go. So first of all, once you get your scans, you find the stock that just everything looks like it's going pretty well. The first thing I always do is set an exit plan. So in this case, when I presented this one, I had a 7% stop. So you should always, protect yourself on the downside. But the things I'm looking for, we have rising momentum, we get the really nice volume characteristics, a strong StockCharts technical rank. All of those give me the understanding that we'll likely see a move. And if I go back to my default here, I also look at outperformance. And this is where you can see comparing the industry group to the S&P. And you can see that in this case, banks, which we already know are really very hot, but then finding a stock that is really a winner amongst its brethren in that industry group. So this was one that I found that way. So I've made my plan, right? I have my exit, but then what I like to do is look at a weekly chart to set my upside targets, right? So in this case, we have this beautiful flag formation. And at this point, our all-time highs are just about 9% away. But when I see this volume on the weekly chart starting to this momentum just starting to shift back to the upside, I'm looking at this as certainly a top, but not really my upside target. I'm looking for more than that.
Very
And
good.
typically I double my stop level. So in this case, since we don't have an upside target, my stop is at 7%. So I'll double that. And that's really where my upside target will be.
Wonderful. That's great. And in fact, we do need to go ahead and take a little bit of a break. When we get back, we're going to talk about pullbacks. These stocks don't go up endlessly. So we will be right back.
I have to say it is my honor and privilege to host a show with my father. I was so excited that I was able to talk him into joining the show, and now he loves it. The insight I get from him, even offline, is wonderful, but to be able to share that with everybody else so they can see just the experience. And really, I just have been so fortunate in growing up with him and having him help me learn. And I think it's great for other people to have that opportunity to learn from him as well.
And we are back. As mentioned, we're going to go ahead and talk about how you can play the pullback after you've seen a stock that's had a sharp upward move. We have a couple of examples here that I can share with you. So let's go ahead over and take a look because the chart is going to be your friend. Again, oftentimes people think that the stock has already had this explosive move. You've missed it. So I'm going to pull this chart up. This is HubSpot. Not quite as dynamic, but it did hit my screen as having been up 10% over the last 5 trading days. Going into today, we are pulling back to about 3%. So what I wanted to share with you is how you can use these simple moving averages to help define support versus resistance. So in this case, you also want to use historical precedent as far as that stock's personality. And we can see with HubSpot, it does have a tendency to pull back to this 21 day, this pink line, before advancing higher. The other thing I like to do, because HubSpot, let's go ahead and pull up a full quote here very quickly. And I did want to share with you, we already have that up, that it is a software stock. So when I see a stock that's had a nice move, it's pulling back, I want to see what is the group doing. In this case, IGV, it's one of the better known tech software ETFs, and it too is pulling back. So that's giving me confidence that it is not more than pulling back with the industry group itself. One other name we can take a look at here as far as examining the pullback, this is Shopify, SHOP. They had a nice gap up base breakout on earnings yesterday. Big volume here. So very, very explosive, but it is pulling back almost 4% today. So another area or way that you can really get on top of these stocks as they pull back is go ahead and take a look at an intraday chart. I'm going to do a 1 hour chart, update this, smooth it out a bit. So here we are on yesterday's big gap up. The company came out with tremendous numbers. Another software platform. This is for retailers to sell their goods, and we can see it did advance into the close, but it is pulling back today. But if we look closely on this 1 hour, it's doing just fine. It's the RSI is remaining up here above this 50. Your MACD is still well above zero. So I would tell you that this pullback is what I would call contained, and we very well could see further upside from here. Erin, I didn't know if you had a pullback example or.
Oh, yes, I'm
Mhm,
just trying to find my chart that I wanted to show. I hate that.
mhm.
Okay, so here's one. Let me get my screen share here. So this is an example on Union Pacific Railway, Union Pacific Corp. And so what we see are these breakouts, right? And we were talking about personality. What we want is, you look for it to pull back after a nice big move, but to hit something like the 50-day EMA. You can see in this case that 50-day EMA is really the support level you should expect. So even though you're getting that pullback, like you see, we got a giant pullback, we had momentum shifting to the downside, we started to see that move up and out of that support level of the 50-day EMA. So I love it when we talk about the personality of a stock. When I
Mhm.
get symbol requests in my trading room, happens all the time. That's what we're always looking for, is trying to find that pullback that will give us an opportunity after a really nice move.
Sure. And if you want to pull up SE, oh no, go ahead. You have another one,
Oh,
please.
no, that's fine. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think it was Duke. Is it Duke? Yeah. So this one I really like because we got that breakout. It's really made that move. But again, we pulled back, hit the 20, and you can see right now we're starting to bounce off of it. Those are the kind of moves that you want to see off of a strong winner. And now you can see this is, I'm looking at this Duke Energy, and you've got a nice flagpole flag. The expectation, if we get the breakout, which it looks like we are, is a move, honestly, the size of that flagpole. Now, I'm not going to promise we're going to get that kind of a move out of this, but everything is setting up nicely.
Very good. Yes. And actually, I did want to share with you one of my favorite stocks right now. It actually gapped up today, so I would be remiss not to share it with you. And that is, in fact, I did go ahead and mark it up so that we can dig right in. This is,
Grab the screen.
you got it. It is ADS, Alliance Data Systems, and they did report numbers today up over 700% year over year earnings growth. And we can see the stock is poised to break out of this nice 1 month base. And take a look, your MACD just now turning positive. We can see black line up through the red, giving the stock a lot more upside here. Your RSI just turning positive. And talking about historical precedents, Erin, we just talked about it again. Here is the stock back here at their Q4 earnings release. The same concept with the stock breaking out of a base on big volume. And you can see the nice significant advance subsequent to that. So that is our big movers. Let's go ahead and move on. We have a final segment that we always enjoy doing, and it's called Yeah, That Happened. Scouring the globe for headlines. And this particular one caught our eye, and it's all about a Japanese man who was arrested after dating more than 35 women at once to get birthday gifts. And I don't know if I shared this. He met them. He is a showerhead salesman, and that's how he met these women. And he was giving out various dates as far as his birthday. So he was able to just kind of keep those gifts coming his way.
Oh my
So
goodness.
from here, let's go ahead. Yeah, there's it takes all kinds, right?
Yes,
So we are
absolutely.
going to share from here, again, keeping in theme, stocks that align with that dating concept, but that are also have gapped up. This is FLWS 1-800 Flowers. So take a look.
Ooh,
The stock did have this big, it's up 18% today, huge volume. They did see a big pickup in sales. So, Erin, I don't know if you want to talk about this as far as what's going
right.
on. Yeah.
No, you can see that really I like the momentum. Look at the
Mhm.
RSI just shot straight up today, but of course that's we should expect that. The question is to you, Mary Ellen. So we look at this point for it to move up. Now, if it
Mhm.
pulls back, we just don't want that gap to be filled.
That's exactly right. And the other thing for me initially is it is going to need to find support at this 50-day. So if we see it break below this 50-day, there could in fact be further downside ahead. But for now, we're looking pretty nifty here on
Yes.
FLWS. And then we can take a look at another stock that has been up 10% over the last 5 trading days, and that is Match.com, MTCH, and another stock that is having that nice downtrend reversal, breaking up above these shorter term, simple moving averages with your momentum MACD just now turning positive. And
Nice
they are,
little breakout. Yes. I
yeah, and
definitely like that.
they're due to report their earnings. I think we have time for at least one more that is in line with this whole dating concept. I don't know if they got as far as jewelry as a birthday gift, but this is Signet Jewelers. SIG is the ticker symbol. Not quite as interesting. Erin, what do you think?
Yeah, it's really been in its own little malaise as we were talking
Hmm.
about the broad markets moving sideways. You're not seeing much in the way of positive momentum. I mean, at least it's not, the momentum isn't completely, moving to the downside. I think
Hmm.
my problem with this one is that we might be setting up a double top, and
Mm-hmm.
the personality, as we were talking about as well, you've got to hold that 50-day moving average, and based the 50-day moving average is going to hit right about where that confirmation line is for a double top, and that could be bad.
Oh, okay. I think we're down to seconds here, but we can take a look at a restaurant stock. A lot of people like to go to a restaurant on their dates. It's Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, RUTH. I don't know if they have one in Japan or not, but this one had a big gap up 6% today. So I'm going to look for a little more in the way of momentum to indicate that the stock, but it does look interesting, huh? Yeah, picking up here, poised to break out of this space. Nice volume characteristics. So we'll keep that on our radar. And that's our show for this week. And if you like what you see, hit that like button. And we look forward to seeing everybody next Thursday.
Absolutely.
Hey guys, Dave Keller here with StockCharts.com. Thanks so much for watching our video. If you enjoyed it, and we hope you did, hit the like button right below. Also, we have so much new content every day. Consider subscribing to the channel. Just hit the subscribe button in the video or right below. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. Have a fantastic day.